What's going on, YouTube family? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky, and today we're going to be talking about fake titles. Now, normally we've seen these things come from time to time, and once in a blue moon you'd see one. Usually about once a year is our average of what we would see a fake title. But lately we've been seeing them more and more often. Now, when I first got into the business, it was very easy to spot one of these fake titles. They looked like they were something made at either a hobby shop or at your local Kinko's. It was very easy to find out. But through the years, progressively, they've been getting better, and you've seen some ones that come out with seals that look very realistic compared to the new titles that are out there. But we've always had some sort of software or something combat it to let us know if the titles are not real. But unfortunately today, I've seen a lot of fake titles out there that are passing scrutiny when it comes to not only DMV inspections, but some of the things that dealers use. And so I wanted to talk about it in this particular video. Now, the reason why this is such a crisis is because there are people out there that are not only preying on dealers and banks, but they're also preying on regular people. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen in the news in multiple states, people putting up, brand new Dodge Hellcat, 50% off. They put some really stupid numbers, and they'd find somebody so desperate to look over the paperwork that they would buy the car. That is traditionally how a lot of these fake titles were out there. And so it was very easy to spot. But the good ones, these guys would try to sell them to somebody like myself, a dealer, a wholesaler, an auto broker, or some of these people that buy cars online. Now, through the pandemic, this basically was the perfect time for these scammers to figure out, let's put our best fake titles into market. And so during that time, we started seeing a lot of people basically just shoveling through these fake titles. And traditionally, we would take these things down to the DMV, we would look at them, we would have the time to kind of talk to a few people to see if they're legit. But unfortunately, the DMV was closed, we had nobody to call. So as long as the numbers on the actual Carfax report matched with the title report, everything usually was on the up and up. But I'm sure you've seen all this on the news where CarMax was actually charged with selling stolen cars. Now, a lot of people wonder, well, how can they sell stolen cars? Well, traditionally, there are a lot of people that will make a copy of a fake title. So let's say that they have a clear title for a Toyota Camry that's like a 1995. What they will do sometimes is actually take that title, erase the numbers, and put whatever car that they wanted to put up there. Let's say this 2015 Maserati Ghibli. They put it on there and they try to turn around and sell it to somebody like Carvana, CarMax, or CarGurus, hoping that they will fall for it and actually buy the car. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, a lot of people were doing that. They were just buying these cars at droves. And so what happened was since there was no DMV communication, titles were kind of floating around a little bit, it gave the crooks time where they could go ahead and sell a handful of these cars and not be caught by law enforcement. And so now we're getting to the point where fraud is so prevalent and it's getting ridiculous. So recently I had a subscriber hit me up asking me if I can run a VIN number on a McLaren 720. Now, he just got offered this amazing McLaren for a great price. I think it was almost $80,000 back a book. He just wanted to see if there was something wrong with the information. He sent me the VIN number, sent me the title, sent me all this stuff. And I ran all the numbers and everything looked good. But for some reason, it came up not on the actual DMV report, it didn't come up on Carfax, and everything else was fine. It actually came up on our software, which is LoanBridge, showing that this car is actually up for repo. Now, if I'm like, this gentleman has just bought this car a few months ago and they're putting it up for sale, why is it up for repo? So I told the gentleman, do not buy it, wait and please hold. We ended up messaging that particular bank, which was Ally, and Ally Finance said that this customer hasn't made a single payment since 2021 and they want to get their car back. So that just let me know that basically somebody somehow, somewhere got a clear title from either an old car that they've had, or I know there's people out there that are actually selling titles for this particular state, which is California. Had all the seals, had everything else, and they're printing on the information onto it. So they'll go put the last title number on there and everything else. But this particular one, everything looked good. It passed all the sniff tests. It went through everything except the fact that it was actually up for repo. Now, most people can't check that, unfortunately. If you want to check out our software, LoanBridge, we'll leave a link in the description if you want to run your guys' inventory through there. This will help let you know where your cars are actually at, what's the history on them, and give you some information on that. But besides that, this guy was getting ready to fork over $200,000 to this guy. So what happens in instances like this? So let's say you gave the $200,000 to this gentleman to buy this McLaren. Well, a few things could happen. You could take that paperwork down to the DMV and they could basically say it's illegal and you could be arrested right there for actually holding stolen property. Or they could actually process the paperwork, because I've seen some really fake titles that have gotten through the DMV, which absolutely blew my mind. And so now you're driving around this car maybe a year, 2 years, and then you're going to find out down the road when you try to sell it that there's something wrong with the car, something wrong with the title, whatever the case is. And then you have to either give that car back or have some sort of issue where you have to file new paperwork. And so these are the things that are plaguing people. Now, a few months ago, I think it was probably about over a year ago, I purchased a car that had some iffy paperwork and stuff like that. And the DMV asked me about it, even at the police department. And one thing that I told them is, like, I checked the VIN, I checked the status, I checked all this stuff, all the things that we were taught how to check to make sure that this is actually a legit title. So I did all my processes to make sure that I did everything and I was in the right. But it still doesn't save us from the fact that there's somebody out there that's so good that's able to produce fake titles that will clear not only inspection from a dealer, but from DMV and even law enforcement. And that's why I wanted to make this video today, is I wanted to tell you guys, you need to be very, very careful when it comes to buying cars, because unfortunately, as the economy turns to shit, this is when all the scamsters come out of the woodworks. I promise you, you're going to see these things, what's called VIN swaps. People are swapping VIN numbers from one car to another, or they're making fake numbers. They do this to either match a title that they have or just to create a new illusion of a new car, so this way they can fool some failing consumer. What I'm going to tell you right now is any purchase, especially if it's luxury or exotic cars, do it at the DMV and make sure the car is inspected. Now, the reason why I want you to go to the physical DMV and actually do the paperwork is so they can run the VIN number, they can run the title number, they can run all the information before to make sure that there's not some sort of pending lien somewhere else. Now, unfortunately, some DMVs are very cool. They'll work with you, everything else like that. Back in the day, we used to have a number where you can call to verify titles and stuff like that as a dealer, but they've taken that away. But what's unfortunate about this is if dealers get caught with cars that are fake titles and stuff like that, the dealer loses the car and sometimes could face penalties from the DMV thinking they're doing some sort of fraud, which is not fair. There should be some sort of number, somewhere we can connect to figure out if these titles are real. So please protect yourself from that. The next thing is I want you to actually take these cars down to your local dealership and have them run a VIN scan on all your modules. The reason why you want to do this is because to change a VIN number, it's one tag and a few stickers. But to change all the VIN numbers in all your modules across your car is very hard and very expensive. And so most times they will not do that. And that's how a lot of these Carvana and CarMax cars winded up getting stolen, because people sold them thinking everything was fine. They go to re-register them a year, 2 years down the road, and when they plug it in, the VIN number comes up stolen or not as the same as what's on the paperwork, and then all of a sudden it looks like you're trying to fake a smog or fake some sort of emissions, and then the police get called or the DMV gets called, and that's when they find out. A lot of people found out when they took the car in for service. They thought it was a 2022. Come to find out, it's like a 2021. They just took a car from a different year and ended up swapping the VIN numbers. But once they ran the VIN inside the actual computer, they realized that the car was not the exact same car. So I know these are a lot of headache steps and a lot of processes to do, but I'm going to tell you right now, you need to do these things ASAP. And then on top of that, if you're looking at buying an exotic or a highline car, do it with an actual bank loan. Don't do it with a cashier's check, because what's going to happen is you're going to use your own money, write it off, and then if there's some sort of problem, some sort of headache, you're pretty much screwed. That is it. But if you get an auto loan from a bank, the bank helps you out and does process the paperwork and double checks everything, at least you have some sort of a buffer where you have a third party that's also interested. And sometimes banks can put weight on whoever you bought the car from to produce some sort of correct paperwork or at least get you a refund, because this is what you're going to see down the road. Like I said, as the economy progressively gets worse, all these scammers and cockroaches are going to be coming out of the woodworks trying to take your money. And so that's why, like I said, this video is crucial, because it's the holiday season. People are desperate for money. I've seen cars go up for really cheap. I know people are losing their jobs and just trying to make bills. I totally understand that. But when it comes to buying some of these high-end and exotic cars, I've seen so much crazy stuff in the last 90 days that'll absolutely blow your mind. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the actual fake titles that are getting pumped out right now. Have you seen any in your market? Have you heard stories? Have you seen the videos of Carvana and CarMax and all these other guys wind up getting screwed with all these cars? Now, I've seen it a lot when it comes to exotic and highline cars. So it's very important that you double check those. Now, the second few cars we've seen are the typical favorite stolen ones. Hondas, these Dodge Chargers, Challengers, stuff like that. You want to double check all these particular hot models just so you can be safe because, like I said, we're going to see this more and more. So I want you guys to keep your guys' eyes open to make sure you don't fall victim of losing your money or even buying one of these stolen cars. And then hopefully the cops don't try to blame you or say it's your fault. So just be careful out there. And I apologize, I've been sick for a little while. We got some great videos coming up, more coming soon. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Lucky Lopez, and we'll see you next video.